So San Diego Comic-Con happened today. We had a huge Avatar panel in Hall H and so much got announced. Extra details regarding the adult Aang movie, secret series that we don't know about, and the Avatar 7 Havens trailer dropped. And there's a lot to unpack with this trailer alone, and the number one thing that I really want to dig deep on is Kora, because she looks great here. It is nice to see the old Avatar glow make its grand return. The Aang movie went in a different direction with a more blue glow, which it's a nitpick, but I'm not a big fan of it. I'm just happy to see this in Seven Havens. You can see that she has a bit of a smirk here, and many people think that, oh, she just went evil. Other people think she's being framed. There's many different explanations of what people think is going on. Now, before we get into that, I just want to say that I think this scene right here isn't actually Korra. Like, the way she looks is probably accurate to how she looked when the world was being destroyed, but I think maybe a scene with Pavi and Nisha or other characters, they're just explaining their interpretation of the events, and that's what we're seeing rather than an actual flashback of Korra. We'll see Korra's proper flashback later in the series, but seeing her have gray hair proves that she lives a long time, likely longer than Aang, which would be great. And people say, who cares if she destroyed the world? What matters is she looked cool doing it. But if you weren't keeping up with the plot of the series, the Seven Havens is where most of humanity is. The four nations were completely destroyed, and the rest of the world is basically wastelands, and there's a bunch of energy storms, there's sandstorms, and in this trailer, in the wastelands, you can actually see a bunch of bikes. We also have hoverboards that Jay, the Airbender, is using. We see Sky Bison in the background, so we're still going to possibly have Sky Bison, but they're probably not going to be as big of a focus. Pavi and Nisha's cat companions. We saw them briefly together in this trailer, and they're running, and we see them running during a battle that Jay's in. Now, before this scene, I think they were in a huge fight, and they had to put their differences aside in order to quickly come and save the day, and it's either Jay or that captain or some other character that they have to save, or maybe they just are needed in general. In the script pages that leaked about almost 2 years ago, it went over a scene of Pavi and Nisha fighting, not being able to trust each other, going over the true Avatar, and then a more comedic scene regarding rocks. Now, I'm not going to go fully into all those little details, but I just wanted to kind of set the stage a little bit to where I think this might be lining up. Now, regarding the Avatar situation, they are both the Avatar. They have the Avatar state. They can master all the elements, and one of them, unfortunately, was homeless on the street and is missing a leg. The other one has all the training she needs and lives a luxurious life. So it's going to create some conflict between them. But in the trailer, you can actually hear Pavi wondering why she looks like her sister, so maybe they don't know each other or she can't remember. They were split up. And then this scene of the two hugging is either after the battle is over or maybe right before when they have to run into battle. I think a lot of this is just episode 1 kind of setting everything up. But moving on from the Avatars to just benders in general, apparently in this show, a lot of benders are forced into the military within maybe the Seven Havens, but they're forced to do this pretty young. This whole plot kind of reminds me of like history repeating itself. The Lion Turtles, the Seven Havens, the Spirit Wilds, the Sandy Wastelands, with this scene of Pavi earthbending, with it looking red, and then with this red part of the spirit portals. It's really hard to say. This proves that the conflict is still ongoing. Even if Kora started it, she's not here to continue it, or it did have nothing to do with her. It's left ambiguous on purpose, and that's a good thing, because if they end up just revealing, oh, it's a misunderstanding, people interpreted it wrong, people have twisted the story to fit their narrative. Obviously, I think that's partially true. Avatar Day is proof of this, but also Avatar Day showed that Kyoshi admitted that she did it, and they could do a very similar scene like that where Kora comes out and says she did destroy the world, either that she had a good reason or she didn't have a good reason, but it's just kind of a cover to actually hide the real truth. Now, of course, there's a sandstorm, but there's also these huge energy storms, purple lightning. Now, I don't think it's Vaatu, of course, but I do wonder how all these things are connected. And also another strange thing is the Avatar cycle, because of course, first of all, we've got 2 avatars, but according to a rumor, should be taken a little bit more with a grain of salt than everything else, is the next avatar isn't immediately born after the previous one dies. So either this event or harmonic convergence changed something so that these twin avatars were twins, but also they were born many years later, so there's an even bigger disconnect, which would make sense why the history is so warped from the actual reality of it. I do think the purple energy storms look very visually appealing. The general shot of Allura City, there's a few other shots that look great, even Republic City burning down, but the animation isn't great. I was a little disappointed with it. I do think that it's a little rough around the edges, feels like it goes from point A to point B at certain points. Other than that, for me, animation isn't everything. If a story's great, great, the characters are great, the general vibe is great with visuals that can look pretty here and there. That's all I really need. If anything, this show might have the opposite problem to the Aang movie, because even though I think it looked beautiful and I gave it a pretty high score and I do still stand by it, I think this movie was a little bit of a regurgitation of Korra, and it didn't really feel like anything new was being added. Like, my favorite parts of the movie were the brief moments where the characters just were, rather than the action scenes. It just kind of felt like empty action. It's nice to look at, but I just wasn't feeling the hype like when Aang was taking down the drill and going up against Azula, or the last Agni Kai, or Kora versus Zahir. Like, these big moments, there's an impact. I just didn't feel that in the Aang movie, and this is not necessarily an Aang movie review, but I just kind of wanted to mention that real quick. Aang's bison scene, or the first 10 minutes of the movie, I loved those scenes. They're just peak Avatar, and if we had gotten a mini series like that, I would have been a lot happier. Now, I may make a full review going over to my thoughts, but in the chance that I don't, I just kind of wanted to mention a couple of these things here. But regarding the release of this series, it's going to be coming out on October 9th. And this is the original date that they were going to drop the movie onto streaming. And of course, due to the leak, they're dropping it on the 25th. And it's obviously in select theaters right now. Now, everybody's been freaking out because they don't know if this is going to be a full drop every single episode at once. It's being talked up that it's a 26 episode full release, but it was also framed as like two 13 episode seasons. So it's a little confusing. Now they're saying that they don't know what the release schedule looks like. So it could still be a full drop release. Everyone binges it, talks about it for a few days, and then that's the end of it. Or on the other hand, they do one episode a week, which is what everybody really wants. Or they do 2 episodes at a time or something like that. Or like part 1 of season 1 and then part 2 or something like that. Either way, it does seem a bit up in the air right now, but it is coming out on October 9th, and it will be on Paramount Plus just like the movie. So if you're not seeing it in theaters, which unfortunately most of us aren't, you will be able to see it on Paramount Plus if you just get the subscription. And even if you saw the movie online already, still go and support it, because this just shows Paramount we want more of this, even if they don't believe in it. Now, quick little details from Comic-Con, from Cartoon Universe, I'll leave it in the description. They went over details about the movie. Like, originally Katara would have been pregnant in the movie, having Boomy, but they removed that. Probably does make sense. Taga originally was going to be an earthbender called Hulong, and we even have the designs for that, as you can see. And then to end it all off, we have the soundtrack of the new Aang movie on Jeremy Zuckerman's YouTube channel, so you guys can go listen to that. We got book 3 around a week ago, I believe. A lot of stuff is happening. There's also the fighting game that came out, so hopefully you guys are enjoying it. It's a great time to be an Avatar fan, whether there's a future or not, whether we get that secret Red Thunder series after Seven Havens or not. It's just nice to be in the present moment, enjoy what we got, and that be that. Let me know what you guys think down below. I just wanted to give my general thoughts and everything, and I'll see you guys in the next video.